for coming. Really nice to see everybody on a January night like this and to celebrate the first inaugural Teton Film Festival for Alton Films for our Teton Climbers Coalition, and also celebrate Women in the Mountains. My name's Marian Myers, and I'm a board member on the TCC, or the Teton Climbers Coalition, and I've been climbing in the Teton since 1977. On August 27th, 1923, Eleanor Davis, the Director of Physical Education for Women at Colorado College, did something no other woman had ever done before when she stood atop the Grand Teton. That was 100 years ago this August. To celebrate the centennial, the TCC wanted to honor Davis's accomplishments in a year-long celebration of women in the mountains. And I wanted to share another quote, an accomplishment around that same time. It was in 1939, and this is taken from Renee's book, the new, not yet published, but the Climber's Guide to the Teton Range. And Margaret Smith Craighead teamed up with Sharples, Mary Whitmore, Margaret Bedell for the first, quote, manless ascent of the Grand Teton. And that was August 3rd, 1939. And that's actually what they said, manless ascent instead of all women, which was interesting. And at the time, Smith downplayed their achievement, writing, quote, "This might have been of importance to the record of events, but to us it was just another climb," end quote. Understated as it was by Smith, it nevertheless made the regional news in the Salt Lake Tribune. Quote, "Another successful invasion of the field of sport by the weaker sex." So we're here tonight to celebrate these women, and I have to introduce them now to you for the panel, Moving Mountains, a panel discussion of women in the mountains. We have Catherine Colonnese, and Catherine was the first female Exum guide in 1981, guided for 10 plus years. She's been a nurse for 40 years. She continues to pursue her passion for climbing and for being in the mountains. And she was recently in sport climbing in Kalymnos, Greece with her family, with her husband Rennie and her daughter Jane and her son-in-law Kevin. We have Dana Larkin. Dana also been a guide in the Tetons she came to the Tetons to climb about 20 years ago. And she's also has a passion for ski mountaineering. She continues to pursue both of those passions, climbing and skiing, while she's a math teacher at high school. And she lives in a yurt in Kelly, Wyoming. So we have Morgan McLashin. Morgan was born and raised in Jackson. She's the youngest female to ski the Grand, and she is one of the few female guides with Exum right now. Then we have Madison Rose Osterman.
Nailed it.
Very good. And welcome to Madison. Madison is writing her own story. She's a professional big mountain skier, and her film is included tonight, and we'll hear more about her story in the film Fuel. So we're looking forward to seeing that tonight. Thank you all for coming, and at this point, I want to introduce Sheila Reedy. She's another Teton Climbers Coalition board member, and she's our moderator tonight. So,
I'm so glad to hear this round of applause because this is an amazing lineup of women. I mean, I know personally they're all people that I would love to be in the mountains with and share a drink with, as we did last night. Good lasagna, I hope. Delicious. And I know all of you are here because we love the mountains. We love moving the mountains. We love looking at them. So I actually want to start off by asking you all, when did you fall in love with mountains? Or maybe when did you recently fall in love with mountains all over again?
Oh, everyone's looking at me.
I'll go. Then I guess you're up.
I grew up in California, and my father and my parents took us on burro trips in the High Sierra, and when I was like 5 or 6, and we did a few actually in the Wind Rivers. And since then, I've always been drawn to the mountains or climbing. I wasn't climbing then, but yeah, hiking and
Growing up in the mountains.
growing up in the mountains. Yes.
Anyone else? What's your story?
I grew up in Steamboat, Colorado, and so I skied for the first time when I was 2. And then my family and I would always go backpacking every summer for a long time. And I've just always loved the mountains since then.
I also was fortunate enough to grow up in the mountains because I grew up here, but I think I really started understanding what sort of playground mountains could be when I was in high school. I think he's in this room somewhere, but I spent a lot of time with Charlie Thomas, who we would go on these like very adventurous winter camping trips, usually around this time of year, a little earlier. Always felt colder.
Can you guys speak up? Long
Yeah.
background noise. I can talk about it.
And
No, mine would be great because of mine.
Oh, thank you. Right.
oh, hi, Golden. Golden and I also grew up together, which is funny. Yeah, so winter camping in the Tetons, still doing it.
I grew up in the hills, Michigan, so I didn't really grow up with mountains per se, but I grew up in hills and fell in love with the outdoors at a really young age and ski raced competitively for my entire life in college. And so I moved to Utah, and that's when I think I really fell in love with the mountains. It was just, yeah, they're so big, and I was like, this is so much bigger than I'm used to. And yeah, since then, it's just been a great journey.
Cool. So, as you all heard when Marian did your introduction, these women have these amazing taglines of firsts and professional accomplishments. My question to all of you is, were those specific goals for you? Or how did those things come about?
Dean, you should go first because I just happen to be close to the mic.
Oh,
But fix it up.
I was trying to think of accomplishment I wanted to talk about, but mainly I became a huge climber at college, and I think when I moved to the Tetons, I just wanted to like climb the hardest climbs in the Tetons, and I still have not done that, as a lot of you know, because I feel like I know all of you anyway. But I think mainly I just like for following like Greg and Hans who put up all the first cents. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to go do that route, and then I end up going to do it. I think the really fun one was the Beans Shining Wall on the Grand. That was really fun to do like the first repeat of it with my past friend Mika.
It's very sensitive. I should touch it. That sounds a little better. I think this question maybe sort of came about through a conversation that I had with Catherine and Sheila and Marian a couple weeks ago, and I think something that often gets attached to my name now is like that tagline, and it very much was not intentional when I went and did it. I was just, my friend Sawyer, Charlie's son, was going to go with Charlie to ski the Grand, and I thought that sounded like a pretty good adventure, and so I convinced them to let me tag along, but I had no idea what I was getting into, and I think that it's interesting now that like something I did when I was quite young has followed me through, and it continued to be sort of this like thing that gets attached to my name, and it's not a bad thing necessarily, but it was never an intentional thing that I like set out to do. It was just another adventure that happened along the way.
I guess, I don't know if I knew exactly what my path was. I think I had dreams to be in like ski movies and Warren Miller when I was a kid, and yeah, I don't think I knew that was gonna happened, it kind of just felt like a dream. But I felt like when you kind of say your dreams out loud a little bit and you start telling people, oh, like, I really want to do this, then people really kind of have your back and try to support you in the way that they can. And that's really, it's intimidating. You're like, I don't know if I should tell this person that I want to do this, because what if I can't do it? But it's really beautiful how people show up for you and can help you.
I had never heard that term before, just tagline. So, but now I know what it means or what it is. And my claim to fame was being the first female guide for Exxon full time. There are other people, women that have worked a day or two in the past 20 years before I started. But like Morgan, it wasn't anything that I had even thought about. I came out from Yosemite with a friend of mine to visit some Exxon guides. Chuck Pratt, Kim Schmitz, Wedland, and so we were hanging out, and they were busy. And anyway, I started portering first, carrying the propane tanks up to the lower saddle, and then they were little short guides, and not short guides, but shorter guides. Because they said, "Well, hey, Catherine, can you help us out? Can you start helping us guide?" And I was like, "Yeah, wow, that's amazing. Get to earn a little money and be outside and climbing and all those guides that I worked with them there was great camaraderie, and they showed me the ropes, and usually the clients sometimes would say, "Whoa, wait, you're our guide? You're too short and small," which I'm really not. But at the time, it was like, "Well, yeah, let's go climbing and we'll see what happens." So yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Well, I want to continue, if I may, with you a little bit. So building on something Marian had said, we want to acknowledge the first all-female or manless ascent of the Grand in 1939, and one of the women in that party was Margaret Smith Craighead. And when she was in her later years, I think it was in her 90s, she was doing an interview. It was a conversation with her son, and they were talking about.
The sun's right over there.
Oh, fantastic!
Hi, Derek.
Hi, Derek. I'm going to quote you.
Just so you
How
know.
about this? I'm going to paraphrase you. That seems safer.
Yeah.
That you and your mother had an exchange about how she had perceived what she was doing with climbing as a childhood activity, and then that she then transitioned her focus to being a mother and a wife. And I'm going to start with Catherine, but then really hear from everyone. When you became a guide, was it kind of on your mind that this was a choice for a woman to make at that time? How would you compare the time that you were making that choice to Margaret's experience?
Well, it was a choice for me to be a guide in the summers. So certainly when I could, I was in nursing school for some of those years, and then working, I would come out here in the summer and guide. But at the time, there weren't really like full-time guides like all year round. So I would go off and work as a nurse for 6 months and save a bunch of money and go to Nepal or wherever, and then come back. But then I got married, and Rennie Jackson. Anyway, when I became a mom, it definitely changed my thought about guiding in the summer, partly because he was dangling from helicopters and doing high-risk things, and it seemed like guiding could possibly be high risk. So, doing high-risk things, anyway, made me think about it more.
Morgan, maybe you want to continue that thread. I mean, you're a woman being a guide now in the 2020s. How does it feel to make a choice to dedicate your career to being a guide at a time like this? Is it a thought of this is a strange choice, or this is just a choice that's out there and it's one I want to pursue?
that's a great question. I think different now from when Catherine started guiding is that year-round guiding is very much possible and a career choice that people make. And I think that that was a different way that I entered the career path. It was just that I went all in terms of like, I was like, this is the path I'm going to go down and I'm going to do it all the time and not just have it be like a summer job while I was doing something else the rest of the year. But that feels sort of like a newer option for people. And part of that has been, I think, like the huge growth of backcountry skiing. People want to go backcountry skiing and play in the mountains in the winter as well as like climb in the summer. But I don't have kids, so I haven't had to make that choice yet.
So we've had some time to all chat a bit more, especially last night at my house. And one of the things that I've reflected on and that came up in our conversation is when you get injured, or maybe when something else takes you away from being able to be in the mountains or move your body in the way that you love to. How does that affect you? How does that affect your sense of self, sense of identity? How do you get through those moments?
I got that one. You got that one. Yeah, I feel like I've probably gotten injured with it recently. And we talked about this, and I was like, I was the most recently. And we talked about this, and I was like, I was the most depressed I've ever been when I got injured. I had surgery on my ankle this summer from a skiing related, not even really an accident, more of like an overuse injury. And so that was tough because I feel like, I mean, all of these women, like everyone out here, all the women and men out here, we all push our bodies so much, and it's wild how you can, most of my injuries have been overuse injury. So anyways, I really felt, a huge loss of identity, and I didn't know how else to like move forward. I really had to confront these issues that maybe I'd pushed down and didn't really want to accept. And then when I got injured, it was like, nope, you're going to accept these issues. Like, you got to figure your shit out now. So I was like, all right, here we go on this journey. But I think the biggest thing is like finding other things with, who are you without moving your body? And I think that was a huge reflection that I had. And so I kind of leaned into more music, and I leaned into more like feminine energy style of being versus doing, which is very like masculine, go, go, go. And I love, we all have these different energies inside of us. And that was a big reflection is you need to take care of your body more, and, important. So I hope that answers the question. That's great. Do you want to answer the question? That's great. Do you want to answer
I feel like all of us in this room have experienced the injury piece and have gone through it. And I guess on a personal level, for me, it's about just, realizing that it's not about your accomplishments in the mountains. It's about how you make people feel, and if you've made their stories better in their lives. And I think in general, I try to do that. I don't always do the best job, but I think in general, it's like even when you can use your body to the best of its ability, always bringing it back to like what the reality of the situation is. It's not that I just like did something big and that makes me a better person. It's like, how did I make you feel that day? Like, you feel good? Did you have fun hanging out, or did you feel safe and like comfortable letting you know like you needed to like turn around or didn't feel comfortable? So like in general, that just comes back around to like being injured. Whether you're injured or not injured, I think the mentality I'm striving to just have that kind of mentality of just what's important versus trying to accomplish things.
Yeah, injuries are debilitating and can definitely alter your self concept. But also a chronic disease can also do that. And so if anyone out there might have been diagnosed with something that is a chronic health issue, that also can alter your reality of yourself. And I think the main thing is that you have to be true to yourself and figure out what you really want to do and how you can do it. And
I think when you ask the question, the very style answer, that's different. I really liked both of the ideas that were presented, but I think from a very practical standpoint of taking care of myself, I sleep a lot. I think more than most people. But I also use my body for work a lot. And so making sure that I get enough sleep helps me make better decisions and helps me keep getting up and going to work and being kind to people and doing a good job at my job. And I think that's so far my experience been the number one thing that I can tell when I don't do a good job at. If I don't get enough sleep, I don't do a good job. I can't perform as well. I can't think as well. I start to crash very rapidly. So I think the number one thing keeping me going is just making sure I sleep enough.
Wait, I want to know how many hours of sleep.
Minimum of 8.
There's some
But often 10.
ratio to hours in the mountain to hours in
Yes.
bed, right?
And it gets really thrown off when you get up at 2:30 on a regular basis.
So you all have wisdom from your lives lived. This one so far, maybe, I don't know. If you had to talk to your younger self, what might you tell yourself? Or a piece of advice or an insight that you would offer?
Can you speak just a little bit louder, everybody? It's so hard to hear back here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It was better without the microphone.
Oh, was it?
Oh,
Great.
interesting. Okay, you're being like, we'll just go. Should we just project?
Yeah.
Okay,
Not
Theater
use
board.
Yeah.
Thank you for speaking.
Yeah, thank you for saying
Thank you.
something.
Love you, lady.
Okay. We like feedback, so
Yeah,
thank you.
feedback is great.
Just repeat that question. What I asked is, if you could talk to your younger self, what sort of advice or insight might you offer to yourself based on what you know now? Catherine?
Just start nominating people.
Yeah. Well, I would probably start off with not being so hard on myself. And actually, I wrote some hints to myself. In case I forgot. So yeah, I wouldn't be so hard on myself when I'm trying to do, accomplish something. And my other one was be patient with myself and with the world, and not get uptight when someone's tailgating me or whatever. And then speak my truth. Short and sweet.
I think my big takeaway is I would tell myself good job, and that when I accomplish something, proud of it, and be okay with being hey, I did a good job, and being confident, because I think I lacked a lot of confidence, and being oh, it's not a big deal, it's not whatever, but you can give yourself praise, and just you'd give your best friend praise, or anyone else praise, and just being hey, I did a good job, you're doing great.
How about you, Maureen? What do you tell yourself, your younger self?
I think
I would start rock climbing when I was younger than when I actually started. Yeah, because I'd probably be better at it.
That's what our daughter said.
That's why I'm starting my daughter out.
Yeah, I would have started when I was Gabriella's age. That would have been ideal.
I think of a quote that I come back to all the time, and it's, can everyone hear me in the back?
How are we doing?
Just shout.
I'll just yell. This quote that I love is, "You will always be too much of something for someone. Too big, too small, too round, too edgy. If you round your edges, you lose your edge. Apologize for mistakes. Apologize for unintentionally hurting someone. But never apologize for being who you are." And I think that is something that
I love that. That's what I did by second yourself. That landed with me. I love that. Thank you. So we've talked a lot about the importance of community, friends, partners. Can you share with us how you met some of your first partners or friends for moving? Okay. I think we kind of talked a little bit about this at dinner. I think, yeah, the coolest thing is sharing, like creating this bond that you have with someone in the mountains, and you. It's so different than just day-to-day life. Like you're really connected because you're trusting someone with your life, and you're in these situations where you are sometimes like so scared, and you're like, I can't. We're not talking now. Like we're going up the mountain, like no one's talking. You're like about to shit your pants, and you're like, I'm fine. Like don't need to talk. And so you come out of those moments, and you're like, whoa, like that was crazy. But you also kind of don't say that was crazy. But you have this shared experience that really just like makes that relationship the strongest relationships in your life. And I think that those are my strongest relationships in the mountains, are ones that are formed and continue to form in the mountains. So yeah, I feel very lucky.
I think I have met most of my favorite people to do things in the mountains with through so many different avenues. But a huge part of it has been deciding to be a mountain guide, because all of a sudden you open up this door of all these other people who've chosen to do that with their lives, and you have just this vast pool of friends and community members to go and do things with in the mountains that you maybe didn't have access to before, or didn't know how to approach, or were intimidated by. And so I think I've created so many new partners through choosing this job.
You would go.
No, I was just gonna say ditto, but yeah.
Great, we got it.
Yeah.
I met my husband climbing
Yeah.
so many years ago in Margot, and definitely lifelong friendships. For sure. Tying the rope together.
Yeah. No, you didn't at all, because I don't really have much to add besides the point of I feel like I met my closest climbing partners at Craig's or Tour People and in college. And actually, Lisa, who was supposed to be here tonight, she taught me how to climb when I was in college. We went to college together. So, yeah, I'm sitting in her place, but we've climbed a little bit together. She's always been a great connection.
That's great. Well, this is my last question for you all before we open it up to everyone in the room to ask your questions. As you know, tonight and this whole weekend is kicking off our year of celebration of the centennial, the first woman to summit the Grand. And we really want to co-create that celebration with the community. So I'm going to start off by asking each of you, what do you think of the celebration? What do you want to get out of it? What do you envision? Big or small?
I'll throw one out there. I think it'd be really, it was so cool this year to watch so many all female ski films come out. I thought that was really inspiring, and I think something that I have kind of been moving more towards is personal projects and films, and having the creative freedom to be like, this is a project that I want to do. And so on like a very small kind of level, I'm like, oh, I want to make another film with like all female skiers or climbers in the Tetons. I think that would be an awesome and really cool way to celebrate the anniversary. But I don't know, I have so many ideas, but that's just one of them. Yeah.
I can go because we are hosting an all-women guided climb of the Grand Teton on the Centennial, which is really exciting because we'll have all female guides and all female participants, and we're going to take over the lower saddle.
Yeah. So have you had much interest yet?
Yes, it's full.
Wow.
Dana, Catherine?
I think just like doing gatherings like that, or doing like a big gathering, especially if it's August 23rd, or maybe when you guys get down, you could all like do a big dance party. Or yeah.
So does that mean that you have all the slots on the lower saddle now?
I mean, only Exum's allotted slots, but like,
We'll try
I
to
was
figure
figure out how to like try to just get all of them. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
that
think
would
we
be
should get on that.
I know. I think there's a sleep out episode. Like,
Yeah, right.
for sure. We are getting on that.
Well, I since I stopped guiding for Exum many years ago, I have tried to climb the Grand every year on my birthday, or close around my birthday, which is in the middle of the summer. So I hope to do that again.
Well, thank you all. And now I want to open it up to the room. What are your questions for these women? Just raise your hand and I'll
I'll borrow the hat if you
you back there.
Maybe a question for each of you. Do you have a most memorable experience in the Tetons?
That's a hard question.
It's a hard. We didn't practice this much.
You know, I think I have a lot. I mean, we all have so many memorable experiences, like everyone in this room. I think like one of the one that means the most to me is I got to, when I climbed the Exum Bridge in the winter with a group of a bunch of my friends, and then one of them like let the ashes of like a past person go on the summit, and there's no one around. That was big for me. I always think about that. Yeah.
I was actually trying to say the same thing. I had a very similar. I lost one of my best friends when I was quite young. I went with his sister and one of our collective best friends to the top of this thing. But it's been very memorable and important day.
Thank you both for sharing those personal experiences. Do we have another question from the room?
Yeah, could you talk a little bit about the difference between a manned and a manless adventure?
Technical definition or personal experience? I'm gonna get some more personal.
A man, Charlie.
So maybe anyone wanna jump on that one?
We could ask Derek, because I think the women used that term in that decade of manless ascent. So we're sort of quoting, those women climbers from the 1930s. I mean, I personally don't use a manless ascent.
I've never heard that before tonight.
Even back then, I think that term was made by men.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Good point. Yeah. That's all I have to say about that.
Is there, I think I was hearing some more in that question about, for you, is there a different experience that you have when you go
out with really straightforward.
One has men, one doesn't.
But on a personal level, how does it feel when you go out with just women versus maybe it's a mixed group? I mean, I guess it has to be. Morgan?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I think, yeah, for ski partners, I feel like there's a lot of so much communication with women. It's super powerful and really cool. I feel like when I'm going out on a ski tour, there's a lot of checking in. There's a lot of like, how are you feeling? I think that's super cool. Like, we don't just ask, how you're feeling when you're going up the skin check. You're just like, sometimes when I'm with guys, I'm just like head down, don't talk, and I'm just like charging up the mountain, and no one's asking me how I'm feeling. But once in a while, it's kind of nice to be like, hey, how you feeling? And you're like I feel like bad or I feel good. And I think sometimes like listening to those or like having the ability to answer that question, like, hey, I'm not feeling that good right now, also opens like a safety component to the whole day. Like, oh, like you're not feeling good. Why are you feeling good? And it's like, oh, well, I'm uncomfortable with what we're skiing today. And I think that's really powerful, is just being able to like have this like open communication with women. It feels a little bit more open. But I have both partners in the mountains, like men and women, and I think it's really powerful to have both. You just are kind of, it's just different. So.
Something comes to mind of when I was climbing Yosemite, like years, like maybe like 15 years ago or something, and I was with my girlfriend at the time, or my good climbing partner at the time, and we decided to climb the Rostrum that day, and there was like some parties behind us, like. At that point in time, I mean, there were more females climbing than when we were there, but still, like, not a ton. And the whole time going up, we were like, yeah, good job, you're doing so good. Like, awesome. Like, you're crushing. You're so awesome. You look so good. And then, like, and the guys come up and they're like, oh my God, you guys are, like, really positive. and we're like, yeah, yep. And that's like an extreme moment, but for me, I feel like when I'm with my girlfriends, I'm always like, whoa, good job. Oh my gosh. Yeah, your outfit looks so good. Or, wow, your ski pants match your ski boots. That's awesome. Or like, you're amazing. You are so awesome. You're so strong. And then when it's like, and that definitely does not happen when I'm in the mountain with the guys. It's like more like, yeah.
Does that help you feel like that particular climb? Did that like help you stay psyched for the challenge of that climb? Was that a lot of it, or was it more the fun of it?
It was everything. It was like the fun of it, and like thinking we were doing like really cool things. And, yeah, I don't know. So that's like a big difference.
There's like more encouragement. There's more encouragement. So if you hear a lot of noise on a spin track above you, you may think you are pushing all. Another question from the room.
I guess kind of tacking on to that last question, like we've come a long way from, a manned versus an unmanned ascent, but can you talk about manless? Yeah. Talk a little bit maybe about your experience of like, as a woman in the mountains, do you still feel like you have to be stronger, faster, more knowledgeable? Like, are there other things, that you feel you need to do to be equal to your male counterparts?
I think something that I feel like I've dealt with quite a bit is feeling that pressure, or feeling like I have to compare myself to my like male peers, and oftentimes it's purely physical. Like I'm not as fast. I can't work as many days in a row. I can't do like climb 514 or whatever it is, like making those like very like physical comparisons. But what I have started to do and work on telling myself is that like I have other strengths and I have other ways of making myself a valuable asset to a team, and those are things that like make me worth having around, that are unrelated to physicality, but like checking in on people, or just like having a sense of where people are at and being in tune with what's going on with being able to offer encouragement when it's needed, or like those are things that go a really long way in the mountains that don't have anything to do with like how fast or how strong you are. I've found that it's benefited me a lot to like lean into that.
I think sometimes I still feel like if I meet like a new male climbing or partner, I think I still feel like I have to like be able to keep up or they're not going to want to go with me again. You know, like I do feel that pressure and that insecurity. I can think of, you know, like a couple women who don't feel that insecurity, you know, but like I feel like most of the men that I have gone into the mountains with are open and accepting, and it's not necessarily like they would be judging me. I just put that on myself, I think. But at the same time, I do think that I have heard too many men talk about women who are strong in the mountains in negative ways, and that's really sad to me. And I think it's still like, but I think there's still a lot of guys out there who claim to support women, and then when it comes down to it, when there's a strong woman, they get angry or feel the need to say that they're doing something wrong, or you have to rope up right now, or you have to do something different or safer because you're making a bad decision, you know. And I think it's easier. I've heard like strong men, mountaineers talk about women, and like it's really sad because there's a lot of really competent women out here, and they're like, oh, what's that girl doing in the Tetons? They're like, yeah, like, oh, they like roll their eyes when they hear someone's name. Oh, they like roll their eyes when they hear someone's name. And it's like, instead you should be like, yeah, like that person's awesome, you know. Like I think as women, like the more encouragement we can give each other, even if it's like someone who's getting a lot of crap because they're spraying about what they've done or whatever, it's like they're still amazing people, you know, and we should, like, as women, I think we should be like, good job, that's awesome, like, you look so good right now, you look so good right now. Wait, this is all corresponding, like, am I overly positive?
Not being too positive. I like that question. I think absolutely. I feel like there's this pressure. I'm always trying to like be as fit physically as my male counterparts, but so there feels like that pressure. But I made a goal for 2023, and it was you can't complain or make excuses if you're slow. But I can't be like, oh, I'm tired, I'm slow, sorry, my thighs or whatever. You just can't make the excuse. I'm like, I won't make the excuse anymore. And because then I didn't want to make that excuse anymore, because the coolest person on the skin track is the one that's going slow and is like having a good time and doesn't actually care about what other people think about them. And I want to be that person, you know, like I want to have that confidence. I think that's like true confidence. And meanwhile, I'm just slogging up like, okay, don't say that your legs are tired. But but I think, I mean, yeah, that was my goal for, you know, this year, and hopefully it kind of continues. But I think it's just this this confidence that needs to form, but I don't know if it happens overnight. I think it has to continue to build. And I forgot what the other thing I was going to say. I had something good, and I was like,
I spend a lot of time with high schoolers, and it's really prevalent, I think, amongst them. I don't know if we have any high schoolers in the room, but the like dynamic of the boys wanting to go really fast and the girls feeling like they're not as fast and they can't keep up. And that I always make the boys go in the back and like have to walk behind the girls, especially if the girls are going slower. And the other day I was with 4 of them, and they
there was like one girl who was having a hard time because she had a UTI, which is something that can happen to all of us, but like she was struggling, and I made her set the pace and like them walk in the back, and they ate candy and listened to music, and they said they had the best day ever. So I feel like I was like, yeah, walking slow and eating candy is fun too.
Great. I think we have time for one more question in the room. Right there.
So this is kind of adding on to what we just discussed. So thank you for sharing your experiences with that. What I'm hearing is like there's a lot of unconscious bias in the industry, like in the story of being a guide and then saying, "Oh, you're our guy," and it's like there's two extremes. It's that's awesome, you did that, and you're a woman, or like you're a woman, I don't trust you. And it's like, how do you reconcile with that? Is my question. And what can we do like looking forward to make it more of like, it's about what you do, first of all. Like it's not what you look like or like the gender that you identify with. It's something more than that. And I guess, how do you think we get there? Because there's so much of like, of course, woman to the like emphasis on being a woman and doing something. I guess, how do we like kind of bring that all up to one level?
We're all trying. I think we're all trying to do that. I mean, what I said about that, "Oh, you're our guy," that was like so many years ago. That a lot of people weren't even born yet here, probably in the room, but
Still happens.
But you
Yeah.
I remember you were saying yesterday, like Catherine had to, like you're like, "Oh, you're our guide," and she was like, "Yeah, I'm the guide," and then she had to like go out climb them super fast, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, like oh, you're a guide," like she had to like prove herself, and I don't know exactly the answer to that question, but like, how do we move away from that like stereotype from the beginning? Yeah, Catherine, you should take that one.
I don't really know what to say. I mean, I could take these people climbing and they didn't know how to climb, and I did know how to climb. So
So did you say like it wasn't top of mind to you, where you were like they're second guessing me, or did you ever feel that?
well, you walk across the bridge and you go to the boulder, and it's like when I was guiding, that's how we did it. You go across the lake and then you walk, and some people, I can't remember Chuck Pratt's quote, but walking on terra firma, people could barely walk. So, excuse me. You get to a boulder, and I didn't feel like I had to prove myself at all. I mean, it was just like what I did, and I would try to encourage them on what they were trying to do. And a lot of these people wanted to climb the Grand, so it's like you got to do this before you can go up there. But yeah, I mean, there wasn't a lot of women doing that. There weren't. I think I think everybody, you just try to do the best you can. Be true to yourself, speak your truth. I don't know. And be strong.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's an answer, but
it is. Thank you.
Can I just add something for Catherine? Because I worked with her many years in the Exxon office, and Catherine was very skilled and very professional. And even if the guys gave her a funny look when she left with them in the morning to go do whatever climbing they were going to do, the minute she had everybody roped up and she started leading up, they knew who the boss was. And she was a very professional skill. They came back and they were just in awe.
thank you, Mark.
That's the truth.
Yeah. I feel a little slightly opposite, like not slightly, well, a little bit opposite. I don't know. I feel like part of me is always feeling like I have to prove myself constantly. Whether that's like I'm gonna make turns down the mountain at the resort, and like my turns are gonna be like way nastier than that person behind me. Like I'm like, oh yeah, think about it. So you have these things that I feel like I have to prove myself, and I think part of that also might come from social media, and I don't know how much, but I think there's also like this media component, and at least for me, sometimes I feel like I have to prove myself because some of the interactions that are happening aren't interpersonal. They're over media. So people get this like view of you on media. I don't know where I'm trying to go with this. I do think that there is a certain level of I don't even know the word. There's just a part of it, and it's hard with media added on to what we're doing in the mountains and taking photos of what we're doing in video and showing off and showing a highlight reel and all these different ways we use the platform, like these platforms. But yeah, I would kind of disagree a little bit. I do feel like and that could also be what Dana was saying is like the pressure you put on yourself. I think that also plays into it a lot too. Like I feel like I put a lot of pressure on myself to perform the best that I can. And so I think that might be part of it too.
So I have a question. So the social media part where, people post what they did or spray or whatever. Do you think that is all of you, a healthy thing for your life in the mountains, or I'm just curious about it.
Yeah.
I like it, does that by posting or doing a reel or, does that put pressure on you, like, to see how many people saw it or if you get any response back or, I don't do that type of, I do look at Instagram now and again, but I'm just curious, because it certainly wasn't around even like 10 years ago, 5 years,
Totally.
like that.
It feels like people can know you without knowing you. So there's like that part of it. And then the other part, I don't know. I think the times that I've wanted to have more mental clarity, I've deleted social media. So yes, I think that like social media, I have a love-hate relationship. And so that's my hating part of it. But then there's also positives with it where you can like talk about these like maybe bigger subjects about mental health or what your struggles are. And I think that's a cool way to bring people in and so that you feel like you're not alone. But yeah, it totally affects the way people like view you or like look at you before they even meet you. They're like, oh, I know that you had that bus, that you had a bus and you bought a 1987 bus. I'm like, oh, I forgot that I put that on social media. So I don't know. That was a bad and financial mistake.
Was it a VW bus?
No, it was a school bus. We don't need to get into it here. It's continue it. But yeah, it's just, oh man, it's such overall, if it had it my way, I'm like, oh man, all I want to do is go spend time in the park all day with my friends. I don't want to have any media. I don't want to have that pressure. It just feels so good to be outside and connect. The second we pull our phones out, it's like there's something else there. It's like a third party, and I struggle with it because part of what at least what I'm doing with being an athlete, you're getting paid to also do social media and take photos and be online all the time. And so when I got injured, when I was the most depressed I had ever been, I deleted it off my phone. I just didn't have it on my phone. I couldn't handle it. It just felt like too much for me. And I kind of liked the simplicity of my life at that time, even though I couldn't move.
Well, thank you for sharing everything that you have tonight. And we also really want you all to share with us, like, what does it mean to you now to celebrate women moving in the mountains, to celebrate our community? So if you look at your pass, there's a QR code. And it is also here. And we really do want to celebrate with you all this year and create that celebration with you. So we need to hear from you. 3 really simple questions. Tell us, like, what does it mean to you? What do you want to do? And we'll try to do our best to listen and make this an amazing year that I personally hope is not just about one woman, but inspired by one woman, but about all of us and how we can support each other, be happy, also support each other when we're not as happy, and really advance all that we're doing here in this community. So thank you everyone for being here tonight, and let's hear from you. We also have a silent auction that you can go over here and
check out, especially while you have some drinks. And we will start doing it at 7 p.m. So thank you, everyone.
All right.